Welcome to our channel Elimika Mtandaoni. Today we will proceed with the research designs in this episode, and the main focus will be on qualitative research designs. Previously we mentioned the several research designs, and among them we said that we have three qualitative research designs that include grounded theory research design, ethnographic research design, and narrative research design. So starting with the grounded theory research design, what is it? We'll be explaining about these three important qualitative research designs, starting with this grounded theory. Speaking of grounded theory, is a systematic procedure which is qualitative, in fact, and this procedure is used to generate a theory, and this theory mainly explains about a certain process, explains about an action, or explains about a certain interaction concerning a substantive topic. So in grounded theory research, the theory in fact is a process theory. That means it explains a process of events, or it explains certain activities or actions or interactions that occur over time. Also, grounded theories proceed through systematic procedures of one, you collecting data, then identifying categories, then you connect these categories to form a theory that in fact will in the end explain the process. So the important procedures that are to be followed: first, you collect data. Then after collecting data, you group those data, or you put those data in certain themes or categories. Then in connecting those categories, then you form what we call a theory, and this theory will be the one that explains the process. So when do we use a grounded theory? We use grounded theory when we need a broad theory or an explanation of a certain process. There is a certain process that occurs, or there is a certain action or an interaction about a certain topic, then you want to give a kind of explanation of such a process, or you need to come up with a theory concerning that process. Then there is where you use what we call grounded theory. In fact, the grounded theory generates a theory when the existing theories do not address any problem that you want to address, or the participants that you want to study, the existing theories cannot support such things. So you go for a grounded theory. So because a theory is grounded in the data, that means after you have collected your data and you group them into certain categories or themes and connecting them to form a theory, that means that theory is grounded in the data. Then in that case, it provides an explanation than more than a theory that you can borrow from off the shelf. Actually, the grounded theory works in practice, and it is very sensitive to individuals in a certain setting. And in fact, they may represent all of the complexities that are found in that process. So if you want to generate an explanation about a certain topic, and you see that the existing theories do not address the problem that you want to address, they do not well address such a problem, then you opt for creating your own broad explanation. You want to opt for creating a theory that is grounded on the data, a theory that will be built from the existing data, from the setting, and it actually works in practice, and it's very sensitive to the settings, and this may represent all the complexities that may be found in a certain process. You also use grounded theory when you wish to study some process. such as, for example, this process, you say how an ICT student can develop into a developer, to be a developer, or to be a programmer, or to be IS manager, or to be an analyst. You want to study how that a student can come to be a good developer. So that is a kind of process that you want to study. So you will use a grounded theory from the data, and you take an individual, you do a kind of follow-up. So uh, you collect some data regarding the ICT students, then you create kind of categories, or you create what we call themes. Then you find the themes that connect with each other. Then you use those themes to come up with a theory, and there is where you can say you are using grounded theory. So that is one among the research designs in qualitative study. We have also ethnographic study. We have ethnographic research designs. Ethnographic, in fact, they are qualitative research procedures. They aim at describing, analyzing, and interpreting cultural sharing groups' shared patterns of behaviors, beliefs, and languages that develop over time. In fact, the central definition here is the culture, because speaking of beliefs, behaviors, and languages that develop over time, and you want to describe them, you want to analyze them, you want to interpret such patterns, you want to do a search of those patterns, then you opt for ethnographic design. And the central thing is about culture. Speaking of culture, culture is everything that has to do with human behavior and beliefs. It includes things like language, as we have seen there, rituals, economic and political structures, life stages, interactions and communication styles, and a lot more. So if you want to come and describe, analyze, and interpret the patterns that fall under this culture, the languages, the rituals, the economic, political structures, the life stages, the interactions. So the best research design is ethnographic study. So to understand these patterns of culture sharing group, what ethnographer does is to spend a considerable time in the field, where there he will be interviewing people, he will be observing the social life of people, their languages, their rituals, their economic cultures, structures, their life stages, etc. Then gather a lot of documents about the group, so that to understand their culture sharing behaviors, their culture sharing beliefs, and even their languages. When do you conduct ethnographic design? When do you conduct ethnographic design? You conduct an ethnographic design when you want to study a group, providing an understanding of a larger issue. You also conduct ethnographic study when you have a cultural sharing group to study. You want to study a certain culture sharing group, one that has been together for some time, not just for a short of time. And in fact, them staying together, they might have developed some shared values, they might have developed some beliefs, some languages. So what you do, you capture the rules of behavior, such as informal relationship among people in there, let's say teachers who congregate in certain favorite places to socialize. If you are doing a research, probably, let's say, in educational environment. So this is just a kind of an example. So if you are studying a cultural sharing group, then the best approach is to use ethnographic research design. In fact, ethnography can provide a detailed day-to-day picture of events. A detailed day-to-day picture of events, because cultural sharing a group, they tend to come up with the ways of which they do their things, their beliefs, their behaviors, and even their languages. So if you are discussing, or you want to study a culture sharing group, then the best research design is ethnographic research design. Then the last Uh, the last qualitative research design, we call it narrative research design. The word narrative comes from the word narrate. Narrate means to tell, like to tell a story in detail. For example, you are telling a story in detail. So in narrative research design, what researchers do, they describe the lives of individuals. They collect and tell stories about people's life and write some narratives of individual experiences. So they tell a story about individuals. As a distinct form of qualitative research, a narrative researcher actually typically focuses on studying a single person. You are following up a single person, then you gather data through the collection of stories, then you report that individual's experiences, then you discuss the meanings of the experiences for that individual. So it is a follow-up of a single person story. Then when do you use narrative research? You use narrative research when you have individuals that are willing to tell their stories and you want to report their stories. You also use narrative research when the stories told to you follow a kind of chronological order or chronological events. And in fact, in narrative design, focuses on a single person. So thank you very much for following us Elimika Mtandaoni. We have discussed we have talked about several research designs falling under qualitative study. We have discussed about ethnographic studies. We have studied about grounded theory and narrative research designs. So thank you very much. This is Elimika Mtandaoni.